I'm with Heidi Weber, who's the executive director of the Alpha Omega Dental Fraternity. And you're outside of Washington, D.C.
That's correct.
And this is Dr. Michael Tennenbaum, who's the past international president. And I just got done lecturing, and we're at Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I just got done lecturing, and I wanted you to share your message about what is the Alpha Omega Dental Society and fraternity, and tell everyone all about it.
Sure. It's a 108-year-old organization, started back at the University of Maryland. They started originally to face discrimination that was happening in the dental schools. As time has gone on, it has moved from discrimination to more of a philanthropic organization. Right now, we have 100 chapters worldwide, 30 chapters in the dental schools in North America. And we have a chapter here in Manitoba, so Dr. Tennenbaum and I came for the lecture and to also visit with our members. One of the things that we're most proud of right now is we launched last year a program to treat Holocaust survivors. Right now we're in 12 North American cities. This has been launched with our partner Henry Schein Cares under the call from the White House. And actually Dr. Tennenbaum has treated one of the patients in his native Montreal.
Wow. Tell us about that.
So basically, most of these people now are in their 80s or 90s. And unfortunately, during the Holocaust, they obviously didn't get dental care, and their mouths have deteriorated. Over 25% of them are under the poverty line, at least 25%. And basically what we did is the social service agencies in Montreal, for instance, sent us a patient, and we treated them as if they were private patients. So this patient needed dentures. We treated them with dentures. We were very fortunate that we've also partnered with a lab, Town and Country, and they provided services, and we gave us their time. Henry Schein has provided supplies for us, and we did the work pro bono, and it worked out great.
Henry Schein, so is Stan Bergman involved with this?
Definitely.
Stan Bergman, I got to tell you my Stan Bergman. Can I tell you my Stan Bergman story? 3 times in my life, I've been in a missionary dental trip out in the middle of nowhere. The last time was in Tanzania, Africa. And in the middle of nowhere is a dental office that's as nice as mine in Phoenix, and it's all provided by Henry Schein. The last one was when Africans have that vertigo, where their skin depigments. Actually, medicine men hunt them down and use them for their witchcraft voodoo. And so there was this compound with 12-foot walls around it and razor wire around it. It had about 300 of these kids. And I walked in there, and they needed charity dentistry, so me and 3 of my buddies from Phoenix, we went down there, and we're going to work on these kids. And the whole place was presented, again, by Henry Schein. And so I told these little kids, I said, my buddy Stan Bergman, he built this. So I took out my iPhone and I said, I want you guys to all say thank you to my friend Stan. And I turned on my phone and I said, okay, tell Stan thank you. And 300 little African Tanzania children started singing happy birthday. And they're like, happy birthday. And I'm like, but I posted that on YouTube if you ever want to see it. And I sent it to Stan. Stan is just an amazing man. So you said it was started in University of Maryland. That's where the first dental school was. Yeah,
absolutely. So,
in America, I should say.
In America, right.
Obviously, the French had Pierre Fauchard 100 years before that, but in America, right. it was
absolutely. So it has blossomed, and we are in 30 dental school chapters, and that's where most of our members have a touch point with Alpha Omega, and then they become members, as we call them, alumni chapters in 70 cities across the world. We're trying to reach out to other countries, definitely in South America. We're trying to get into Mexico. We are open to anyone, but we're mostly a Jewish organization. But we're open to anyone who wants to embrace our vision of enhancing the world with oral health, and especially philanthropic efforts.
So when you started, it was originally discrimination. Does that mean that Jewish kids were having a hard time getting into the original dental schools?
They were not only having a hard time getting into dental schools, once they got in, they were set to a different standard in terms of marks. And they had a great deal of difficulty staying in. Emory was a perfect example where it was open discrimination, and it was brought out to light. And in fact, I think a couple of years ago, thanks to Perry Brickman, the school actually apologized for what they did, that they had set different standards. So if you were a Jewish dental student, you had to score a lot higher than you did if you weren't. But at this point, we'll fight any discrimination against any visible minority or whatever. And we've stood with other groups as well, with the Hispanic groups. And if there's a problem, Alpha Omega will take part. But that's not our main focus right now. But we definitely have that as part of our mission.
And it's amazing how discrimination always continues anywhere around the world. The United States was sending boatloads of Jewish refugees back to Europe as late as 1939. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's just every group that comes to this country suffers discrimination.
Yeah, my parents were Holocaust survivors, and they could have been saved. Even Canada, there was a famous book written, None is Too Many, and they weren't allowed here too.
So tell us who your parents were. Where were they Holocaust survivors from?
From Poland, originally.
Auschwitz?
My father was in Auschwitz, and my mother was in Bergen-Belsen.
I don't know if have you been to Auschwitz before?
No, as a matter of fact, our organization is planning a trip in May to Poland to go through the concentration camps, but also to focus on the positive side of what Jewish culture and life was like in Poland before the Holocaust.
What was amazing to me, because I've lectured in Warsaw probably every 5 years, the last 25 years. Some of my best friends, March and Delecky, are from there. And I think what's the most stunning when you go to Auschwitz is you don't have a picture of what it's like. But when you go there, this is bigger than any plant at Detroit. I mean, this was not a small operation. And when you go there and you see the magnitude of the 6 train tracks coming in, and you just look, you're like, oh my God, you would think this is where they were making the most popular car in the world. And it was all extermination play. I mean, it's amazing.
It's funny that the Holocaust survivor that I treated told me an interesting story. What he did is he did a podcast. His kids are in the film industry, and he went to Auschwitz to film. And the person at the gate said, well, you have to pay to come in. And he said, it's funny, the last time I was here, I didn't have to pay to come in. And it was just interesting, and it flew over her head. She didn't quite understand what he was saying.
So I can't believe, so my friend, Amir Motamad, has a meeting in California. He's ran it 3 times, and I lectured there last time, and there was a 94-year-old dentist there, and he was a Holocaust survivor from Auschwitz, and I was telling him, you got to write a book, you got to do a story, and he says he so desperately wants to write a book. But what was so amazing is he's 94 years old, and he's all excited about, because when he turned 90, he decided he was going to switch from 2D x-rays to 3D and start placing implants. And I'm like, oh my God, the guy's 90 years old. He's an Auschwitz survivor, and he was 94 years old, and the guy was more excited about 3D surgical guides, placing implants. I'm like, dude, from Auschwitz to CBCT, this should be a movie. You got to write a book. And he says, well, I don't know how I get around with it. And I said, well, I've written 3 books, and I got some editors. You just need to get me in touch. So I need to follow through with that, because I think if he just sat down with an editor for 1 week, he'd have one amazing book.
I think my generation, probably yours, we don't understand how they survived, but their attitude about life is so much different than ours, and they want to live every day, and they want to enjoy their life, and they want to give back. And we just had one of our members passed away who was a survivor, and the things that he did for our organization were unreal, and we're honoring him at this convention in D.C., the late Sam Unger, and we're very proud of what he could, what he accomplished.
Well, tell us more about him, and what lessons from Auschwitz should every dentist practicing dentistry think about every day?
I think what he tried to impress on us was how precious life was, how we shouldn't take things for granted, and if we were given the skills to help and heal people, that we should. And it was what you were talking about today in your lecture as well, that we're very fortunate that we have a certain skill and we have to use it. And he said it, make every day count, but make every day count that you feel that you've made the world a little bit better. And that's what our organization believes in. And there's an expression called tikkun olam, healing the world. And every time he spoke, that's what he spoke about. Heal the world. Even if it's one person, even if it's one little thing that you've done, you've actually helped the world get better. And he was a remarkable person. And he had very little, if any, resentment. He wasn't angry. He wanted to channel that energy to good. And we were sorry we lost him this year, and we're going to have something special for him in his memory.
So why do you think he wasn't angry? I mean, how come Nelson Mandela, after all those years locked up, came out humble? What did your parents teach you about Auschwitz? What went into their mind that didn't make them angry and bitter and mean?
I think if they were angry, they weren't angry at the Nazis. They were angry at the world for not stopping them, or turning, as you say, a blind eye. If there were 6 train tracks going in, they weren't manufacturing cars, and there was something wrong. And I think, if anything, that was the only part they were upset about, that the world had the ability to change things or stop things, and they didn't. And their attitude is that they want to make sure that we don't ever let ourselves get into that position. And that's something I've tried to follow, and I've tried to get my 2 kids to follow, and the people in Alpha Omega. We believe that we have to stand up for what's right, and it may not always be popular, but we stand up for it. And we've done that. In fact, our president right now, Adam Stapholz, was the dean of Hebrew University in Israel. And he created a relationship with the dean of Al-Quds University, and it was considered unheard of. And they started an alliance for oral health across borders. And any time there were countries in conflict, whether it was the Palestinians and the Israelis or the Indians and the Pakistani, and they thought that through dentistry they could make the world better. And Stanley Bergman was involved in that as well. So
He is an amazing man. He is such an amazing man.
And when I was president, we signed a charter in Philadelphia, and we had deans of every dental school, and it was an amazing thing. And it's the Alliance for All Health Across Borders, and Alpha Omega is a charter member.
So have you gone back to Israel?
Yes, we just, as a matter of fact, last December we had our convention there, and Alpha Omega helped build a floor of Tel Aviv University where they're treating special needs people that normally could not get dentistry. And we're very proud of that. And Heidi was very instrumental in helping us with that as well.
Well, the guy filming my podcast is my 3rd son, Ryan. Ryan, I don't know if you know this, but I've sent your grandma, my mother, to trips to London and Rome and Paris, and I don't think she's ever mentioned any of those trips, but I sent her and her 3 best friends to Israel. And I think it was a 12-day all-inclusive trip or whatever. Oh, my God. She thought that was the coolest thing ever in the world. And she talks about it so much. It's 2 weeks before Christmas. I need to tell Mom that if she wants to go back, I want to send her back, because she just thought that was absolutely the coolest thing she'd ever seen in her life. I mean, she's a diehard Catholic, but going through all those places and oh, my gosh. She just thought that was seriously the neatest thing she'd ever done. And I just feel good that her and her 3 church ladies all got to go share it together. So what made you want to be the executive director? I mean, you could have done anything. What made you pick this instead of marketing, advertising, finance, or?
I did a little bit of that. But what if I told you that I applied, but I did my research and I won them over with the interview, and this is my dream job, and I say it liberally. I'm very fortunate to have this job. I'm not a dentist, but I know how to run a nonprofit organization. And I also know enough about how to deal with international members. Some people aren't very comfortable with that. They want to remain locally and that sort of thing. But because we have members, 4,000 such members internationally, you have to have a basis of how to treat them. So what keeps me going with this job, I've been with it over 4 years. The people are really good to me, and I try to be good to them. And these are philanthropically minded people, and I'm personally like that, so it helps that our values align. I'm not Jewish, but when I took this job, and I remember I made it very clear to him in a cover letter, he was at the president at the time, that I'm not Jewish, but my values align with yours. And it's not a religious thing. It's a personal thing. It's you want to help the world. You want to help maybe one person at a time with how you can do that. Whether it's dentistry, for me, I volunteer with animal rescue groups. That's my thing. So it has to come from within. Somebody else who may not have those kind of values probably would not do really well working with AO. But I'm motivated all the time, and I really love my job.
Well, how can you have values to promote teeth and be a hockey fan at the same time? I mean, you're cheering on the people knocking out all the teeth while you're in a dental organization. That just doesn't make sense. How can...
And she's cheering the wrong team.
And she's cheering the wrong team?
Some people's opinion, but
You're with the Jets?
No.
Who are you with?
In Montreal.
Oh, you're in Montreal.
That's right. The Canadians, the Habs, it's a religion. You support them. But Heidi is a good sport about it, and we have a good rivalry.
What's your team?
I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and one of the benefits of being an AO is there's plenty of hockey fans to talk hockey with.
So you have 4,000 international members.
We
How
do.
many total members?
4,000. Honestly, there are a lot more in pockets that we know of, and with any membership group right now, you can talk to. It doesn't matter if it's religious, non-religious. It's selling the value of what's being a member, and so some people latch on to an organization. Some people you have to prove what you can give them. So why right now our Holocaust Survivors Program is so important is that our dentists are seeing that we have this wonderful program. We're working with Henry Schein Cares, we're working with the White House, and we're helping people in our own communities have dignity as they get older. And that's a program that is so special. I don't really know if anything else is being replicated like that in the world right now. So that's one program that we offer the members. Even if they don't live in an area that is, survivors are being treated, they see our members doing good work.
Now on Dental Town, we have 205,000 members, and we have 51 categories: root canals, fillings, crowns, whatever. But one of them is associations and organizations. And I wish we would start one for the, so we have the Academy and Dental, all these deals, but we don't have the Alpha Omega. I wish you would start we have the Hispanic Dental Association, International, all kinds of them, the Pierre Fauchard, World Health. But I wish we would start a deal for those people, just, if anything, just for contact information. So if you started that and someone was interested in that, they'd know how to contact you. How can our listeners contact you? What is your website? How can they find out more?
Our website is www.ao.org.
AO.org. Man, how did you get that? AO.org. You must have been the first guy on the internet.
Must have been. I don't know. It's been in existence before me. And
wow, I'm impressed. I mean, to get AO.org on the internet, it's just like I'm impressed. The one person on Twitter who has @dentistry. I'm like, man, how forward thinking were you? But you got AO.org, so that you can't forget that. AO.org for Alpha Omega, and
yes.
that's means beginning end. Where does that name come?
Alpha and Omega, because it originally started as a fraternity, and Alpha was the beginning and Omega is the end. But unfortunately, there are a lot of Alpha Omega groups, but we're the only dental one. And as Heidi said, we're the oldest, 108 years old.
That is amazing. And is it pretty popular? And you're in French Quebec. You're in Montreal.
I'm in Montreal.
So you speak French and English.
Yes, I do.
And so
we have over almost 300 members in Montreal. We have both dental schools, the University of Montreal and McGill. So yeah, we're across in Canada alone. Manitoba's got a great chapter. We have chapters in Vancouver, Calgary. We just started one in Ottawa, Toronto, obviously, and Montreal.
So if you're speak French and English, then who's the father of modern dentistry? Is it G.V. Black from the United States, or is it Pierre Fauchard from Paris, France?
I won't get into that. I won't get into that.
It's funny. I saw what I'm thinking about doing is we just started an audiobook section, and on eBay, I bought the first 3 books written by G.V. Black, and I'm trying to ask lawyers if it's okay to read them because there's no audiobook if no one's ever listened to them. And I think it'd be fun to listen to because dentists, I don't think have any idea how crazy the thinking was 100 years ago. I mean, they thought they were trafinating into jaws because they thought they were letting out evil spirits. But I would like to get that. I got that Pierre Fichard too, but I need to find a dentist who can read it in French, and then a dentist who can translate it in English because it's a French book. But I would love to have someone read it in English so that all the English-speaking people could hear what Pierre Fichard was saying back in the 1700s.
Well, we'd love to help you. We have 10 chapters in France, and and a lot of our members there are fluently bilingual.
Yeah, well, fix me up with that because I think that a lot of dentists are never going to just sit around and read G.V. Black's book or Pierre Fichard's book, but I think if it was an audiobook, it might turn a lot of people on to those ancient days. So so how long are you going to be the executive director, and what are your long-term goals?
I think I just signed a 5-year contract or extension of my contract, so I'll definitely be around for 5 years. I hope the long-term goals for AO, I hope to grow the membership. We have doing some more efforts there because, again, it's open to everyone, and I think, we talked to some people today from Winnipeg. They don't really know exactly what AO is doing, and we're just trying to get the word out. I mean, we're a small niche organization, but the longevity is definitely important to our board, to our members, to me.
How much does it cost to become a member?
It depends on the country. We have different dues. Let's say for an American, it's practicing dentist, $180 plus chapters have their own dues. So we're a little bit like the federal government. I'm the federal government, and then the states are the chapters, and they set their own tempo with dues and meetings.
So does Jack Dillenberg have a chapter in Phoenix?
He does.
Is it at the dental school, or is it also for local dentists?
Both.
Right on. We're both friends with Jack Dillenberg, who I think when I went to school, most deans were more like a military Marine boot camp coach. They literally, I think they thought they showed affection by the harder and more difficult they made us. It was going to make us more disciplined or whatever. And the first guy to really throw that model away was Art Dugoni, who said, "No, these are our next generation," and treat him with and Art. They named a school after him, and he's no longer the dean. But now I think Jack Dillenberg is hands down. I mean, when you talk to dental students, say, "What do you think of your dean?" Most of them say, "Well, if I could kill him and not get caught and not go to jail, I would." But all of Jack's students just say, "My God, I love that guy so much. He's just so sweet and down to earth." And Ryan, we need a podcast interview Jack Dillenberg, just one of the greatest deans ever.
Jack's been a great supporter. We have a lot of deans that are members. Bruce Donoff, who's world renowned, he's a member of Alpha. He's very active in Alpha Omega. And I think we even honored Art as an achievement medal winner. I'm not sure, but if I remember back, we did, which is the highest award we give out each year.
And he just wrote his book. Ryan, we need to get that as an audiobook or a podcast interview. Art Dugoni, he just came out with the book. I think is he 90?
I wouldn't know.
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's 90 years old, and he just came out with a new book, just writing his memoirs. And man, what a legend in dentistry, an amazing legend. So, if someone wanted to email you, call you, can they do that?
Absolutely.
What number? So www.ao.org.
And of course,
What's
at
your
the
email?
bottom of the website has all our information. My email is hweber@ao.org. Weber is with one B, and our phone number is 301-738-6400.
One more time on the phone number.
301-738-6400.
So, any parting words, Doc?
We really appreciate what you did. I don't know if you said this, but today was a fundraiser. And you came in and you spoke, and we had a full house, and nobody was charged for the meeting today, but they made donations to the Manitoba Foundation, and that's one of the things that we pushed all over the world. We have foundations in Canada, the United States, in France, and in Israel, and in London, and we donate, and we do things with that to try and make the world better.
Well, you should write something up for Dental Town magazine. It goes to 125,000 dentists every month, and then we digitally send it out to literally almost that many dentists around the world. I would love to have something in Dental Town magazine from you, Heidi, that talked about what you do, your mission, the whole 9 yards. And
Well, we thank you for giving us this exposure.
oh, I thank you. So how's dentistry in Montreal these days?
Dentistry in Montreal is great. If we take away the weather and some of the politics, it's great. We're we've always been cutting edge. McGill is a very world-renowned school. So is the University of Montreal in terms of research. And we've been very fortunate in terms of dentistry, whether it's private dentistry. We don't have some of the issues that they have in the States with insurance, as you talked about today. So we've been very happy with that. I love the profession.
And just curious, not knowing, I was born and raised in Kansas, 25 years. Now I'm out in Arizona, very far from Montreal. Does Montreal have a lot of close connections, the dental schools, with French dental schools
Yes.
because they have a common language?
Well, as a matter of fact, both countries just passed an entente a while ago where people from either place can come and practice there. If somebody from France, from a recognized school, wants to practice in Quebec, they can.
Really?
There's certain things that they have to do. They have to either do a stage with somebody with a practicing dentist for 6 months, or there's certain requirements, but they don't have to start from scratch and take licensures.
Now, do you know any personal dentists in France?
I know a lot through our organization.
Really? And what is is being a dentist in France about the same economic opportunity as in Montreal, or is it a better situation in France, or is it a better situation in French Montreal to be a
I
dentist?
think Montreal, because it's North American, is a lot. They were happy there. I think part of their issues right now are political, and that they're worried about things like that. And part of it, in terms of our organization, is discrimination, where they're concerned about that as well. And we'll open our doors to whoever want to come, and we'll help them. And we've set up programs to help them too.
Well, I love Paris, and there's I'll just come out and say it. I mean, when you go to many countries, food's great, but I mean, you can't compare a fine restaurant in England or the United Kingdom to France. You can't compare fine dining in France to the Ukraine or Poland. I mean, France is just one of the coolest places to wine and dine and go to restaurants. And I mean, don't you think?
Well, you have to come to Montreal then.
Oh, well, okay.
We have some of the finest dining as well.
Well,
we pride ourselves on being half North American and half European.
Oh, well, I think Paris is the cat's meow. I mean, that is one cool city. But hey, thank you for spending time after a very long day. Thank you on a very successful meeting. Thanks for spending time with me.
Thanks,
Thank you.
And thank you, Ryan.